Well, let's return to the breaking news of the last half an hour or so that the Electoral Commission has decided that it is satisfied there are reasonable grounds to suspect that an offence or offences may have occurred in relation to the refurbishment of the Prime Minister's flat at number 11 Downing Street. Let's talk now to Hannah White, who's Deputy Director at the Institute for Government. So, Hannah, to the assertion that no one really cares about all of this, well, clearly the Electoral Commission does.
Yes, I mean, this is their job. Their job is to look at these sorts of allegations that have been made in these circumstances. They are the arbiter of whether the Political Parties Elections and Referendums Act, as it is called, which governs funding questions related to political parties and politics. They are the arbiter of whether it's been broken or not. And we now know that they think there's sufficient grounds from the information they have seen from the Conservative Party and the government to suspect that law may have been broken. So the key thing is they need to do further investigations at this point.
So what scope will the Electoral Commission have in an investigation of this nature, and what sanctions can they bring to bear?
Well, I mean, I think at this point already have significantly more information about what's gone on than the rest of us do. They will have the power to go and look at what the financial transactions are that have gone on between potentially the Conservative Party and the Cabinet Office, to look at where those funds came from. And in terms of sanctions, that's mostly the sanctions that they have at their disposal are mostly around fines. But I think the more important issue at this point is if they were to find that the law had been broken, that would have a significant sort of effect on public trust in terms of the fact that the Conservative Party had done something that had broken the law in relation to the funding of the renovation of number 11 Downing Street.
And then timing, of course, is everything. We've had this announcement, just looking at it here again, that the government has announced a crossbench peer, Lord Geidt, has been appointed as the new independent advisor of ministers' interests. The statement says that Lord Geidt has agreed with the Prime Minister that he will begin by ascertaining the facts surrounding the refurbishment of the Downing Street flat and advise the Prime Minister on any further registration of interests that may be needed. In terms of retrospective action on all of this, how would the Electoral Commission view that?
So the point around what Lord Geidt might now do is that that's separate to the legal investigation that the Electoral Commission is conducting. Lord Geidt's remit will be to look at whether the Ministerial Code has been broken, and the sanctions around that are really for the Prime Minister himself to determine, which is the ironic thing in this case. The Prime Minister is the arbiter of whether the Ministerial Code has been broken, so he will be looking at what Lord Geidt's view is of whether he himself broke the code, and the only sanctions there would be ones that he decided to impose on himself. So I think it's a slightly odd situation we're in.
OK, so the Electoral Commission then, to focus on that, says it will continue to work through this formal investigation to establish whether any offence or offences may have occurred. How does this fit into the political climate at the moment? We're about to see Prime Minister's questions in around 10 minutes' time. There's going to be a huge amount of pressure on the Prime Minister. There already is a huge amount of pressure on the Prime Minister.
Well, I think the timing is obviously significant. The announcements have been made immediately prior to PMQs, which gives Keir Starmer, as the opposition leader, relatively little time to prepare. And I assume that Boris Johnson's answers to many of the questions that the MPs want to put to him today may be that now that the Electoral Commission has confirmed these matters are under investigation, that it would be inappropriate for him to comment. So that gives him a little bit of breathing space.
OK, Hannah, thank you very much for that. Hannah White from the Institute for Government.